But how many acres were on each of your farms?
Myself, we only had about 219 acres in that. And and my farm was more of a kind of crop rotation and stuff in that. And of course, we budgeted out our acres to corn and hay and new seeding and we all what we did raise we used on the farm for ourselves and that and then of course the livestock is what kind of took up the remainder of our time and that because of the dairy with the intense labor that takes.
In our farm, we started out, it was 147 acres, and often we would, if a neighbor's place was available or something, we maybe even rented it before that it was available for purchase, but we have increased the size of, NJ has become part of the operation, so he has purchased his own too.
About how many acres does he either rent or own, do you think? He's got quite a spread there.
A good-sized number.
Yeah, he's a very efficient farmer, and it's pretty impressive.
And I guess I should add on too that I really must have the farming in my blood, because when my dad's farm came up for sale, I was the one who bought it. And my sister kind of kidded me, and she says, "Oh, you're going to start farming again?" And I would say I don't think that I ever quit, really.
So you went to school in Mabel, Minnesota, correct? And you went to school in Spring Grove.
Right.
When you were going to school, would you say most of the kids in school also intended to be farmers?
At the time for me, I would say maybe a third. I don't think quite half would be farmers. Otherwise, new industry and new technology was coming about. The farms were starting to grow. People were kind to moving into different lines of occupation, and with the farm numbers growing, the farm number of acres per farm growing, it kind of took those people out of farming and then went to different lines of occupation.
I could see that happening too. IBM opened, I suppose it would have been in the later 50s, and I know a lot of the graduates at Mabel would move to Rochester and had jobs at IBM. And of course, for girls back at that time, you probably were a nurse, a teacher, or a secretary, or some of them got married right out of school. But the technological things were coming into being then.
Yeah.
Now, did you go in the military, Richard?
Did I go where?
In the military?
Yes, I was in reserves, and at the time when I was close to being drafted, and I was not too interested in going in the regular service. I had a fear of, because Vietnam War was going on at the time, and me and warfare were not. I was not very happy about that.
Okay.
And so I went in reserves and that. And the big reason too I went in reserves was that was about the time when my dad was talking about backing off, selling down and stuff and that. And so I was quite worked up about that. And so how am I going to handle the military and the farming and that? And so Dad was not ready to move off the farm yet and that, but he wanted to make some changes some way or another. And so, but he would consent to being able to help if I did go in the reserves, and so I went in the reserves, and that ended up being a 6-year obligation, which was quite long at the time, but yet again I did. And it all worked out well, and that it was a lot of extra hours for the day or for the weekend and that, but we made it work.
Just to back up a little bit, were either of you in basketball or football when you were in high school? Or
I was not in any sports.
Okay, was that partially because of the work you had to do on the farm?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents.
And I'd have to say this much: I didn't have an interest for sports. I guess farming was in my blood. I just that was it.
But you did go to confirmation class.
Oh yes.
So was that one of the only things after school events that you did attend?
That was yes, confirmation, and at that time, you went to confirmation, and you also had a requirement to be in the choir, church choir.
Okay. And did that meet outside of Sundays?
That met on, I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday night, and so that was the night I got out of being chores to help milk. But that was the only night. So, and if you went on, I did have to say one thing I did enjoy. I did play in the school band. I had fun with it. I wasn't that good at it, but yet I had fun. And the one thing I did enjoy was Friday nights or so playing in the pep band. But if you're going to play in the pep band, you help get your chores done before you can go to pep band. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, and that was a challenge you had to do.
Were you in any?
Well, girls didn't have sports back yet then, so that wasn't a thing. But I do remember, like you said, the church choir and confirmation classes. That
they had milking cows as a sport, didn't they? So your parents were supportive of those things, obviously.
Oh yes.
Yes.
That was important.
Yes, they were.
As far as the church goes around here, you always went to Trinity, right?
Yeah, yes.
And you've been to.
We first went to Trinity here in town, and then the little rural church at Riceford was still going, and we went there for 25 years until it closed, and now I belong to the rural church at Blackhaven.
But were you in any other things like theater or?
Theater, no. I don't know. I think 4-H was the only 4-H and FFA were the things that I was involved in, and I would say that the 4-H was still maybe the bigger one. I was in FFA, but that was as long as I was in 4-H, and I would have to say that 4-H was maybe the more dear thing to me. And you know, the thing that has happened about the 4-H part that has been really quite fun, that was a big family as a kid and now as a parent. And they are there when special family events happen. Those people are still your friends to be at your main events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4-H was a very good thing for farm communities.
Yes, it was.
And even nowadays, you see some of the kids, even from town, like to be part of 4-H.
Yes.
I did not do that, and I wasn't in sports, but youth group at church was important, and I did take piano lessons.
Mm-hmm. Do you still play piano?
Mm-hmm.
Did the teachers at school put any ideas in your head as to what you wanted to do, would you say? Or did they have any like suggestions as to what you'd be good at? Did they ever?
Well, I was always interested in going to nurses training. Dad had 2 sisters that were nurses, and they had been nurses during the time of wartime, so it was considered that they maybe would be called into service, but I remember I was told, oh, you'll never make it, you can't go to nurses training. Well, I showed them otherwise.
So your teacher said that, or who said that? Oh, your parents maybe?
Well, no, my parents encouraged me. I can remember, I think it was our principal in school, and I don't know why he thought that, but I was told that. Maybe that's an encouragement to make you try harder.
Maybe he knew. Maybe it was like when I say don't to my kids, don't eat your green beans or it'll make you too strong and you'll be able to beat me wrestling.
Maybe.
Can you think of any teachers that?
I would say there was one teacher that did help me out a lot. I could care less about school stuff and that, but there was a shop teacher that helped me out. And getting building because, and then the ag teacher. I did like, so my basic reasons in high school were shop and ag. That's what helped save me and keep me in school and that. I did like the part of being in the shop because of learning how to build and work with tools and things. And of course the agriculture part, that was good because it kind of helped you learn about some of the different soils and different things that you needed to kind of know with crop experience and your methods of how to do things. So shop and ag was probably the thing that kept me in and that. As far as the English and history, that I had no interest in.